Case file number 3590, written by Daimishi 2, the Vehicular Frame Edit. I posted about this in my local chat group back when it happened. I need to get this off my chest because the logical explanation we came up with makes less sense the more I'm thinking about it. This happened just a few blocks from my house, so I know the street like the back of my hand. It's a long, straight residential stretch where you can see for ages in both directions. There aren't any hidden driveways, no parking garages, and no side streets close enough for a car to suddenly whip around the corner. So, I was standing at the edge of the sidewalk, getting ready to cross. I looked to one side, totally empty, not a single headlight or engine sound in the distance. Then I turned my head to look the other way, also completely clear. All of our moms taught us to look both ways before crossing the road, right? I took it to heart. Now, in the literal second it took for me to turn my head back to the first side to start walking, there was a car? It wasn't speeding past, it wasn't driving toward me, but it was there, sitting right at the pedestrian crossing, perfectly still, waiting for me to cross. In fact, I remember the look on the driver's face of annoyance, maybe mixed with confusion or concern. It felt like someone had edited out a frame of a movie. 1 second the road is a desert, the next, there's a whole freaking vehicle idling 3 feet away from me. I really tried to be rational about it. I told myself I must have had a micro blackout, or that my blink was just way longer than I thought. I figured if it was out for a minute or two, that would give a car enough time to come from way down the road and stop. But here's the problem with that theory. Why was the car waiting for me? If I had actually blacked out and been standing on the curb like a statue for several minutes, why would a driver just sit there silently waiting for me to pass? They would have honked or driven around me or looked at me like I was crazy while moving past. Instead, it was like they had just arrived at a normal pace, except the road was empty a heartbeat before. I honestly don't have a better explanation. I don't know if I just somehow deleted a whole car from my vision or if it genuinely appeared out of thin air. It happened so fast, and how completely silent it was before I saw the car truly rattled my bones. How often do people simply black out in that way? I'm thinking of narcolepsy, that Mr. Bean scene in Rat Race. He'll randomly fall asleep. And this is a real thing that does happen, it's pretty rare. I guess other people do just have mini seizures or blackouts where for maybe a few seconds to a minute or two, they really do just black out. But I don't think this just happens as a one-off. Like, someone lives their entire life, has a single blackout, like standing on the road, and then it never happens again, right? Maybe it does happen randomly to just one or twice in your whole life. Never heard of that. If this is something that would happen to you, it would be frequent, so you would know, I think. Given that, it's almost like a mirage. I would attribute this to a multiverse mirage. You know that scene in Mission Impossible? I forgot which one it was, but they have this umbrella sort of thing that expands and occupies the entire nature of the room, the entire dimension of the room. And depending on the perspective of the guard at the other end, he'll see there's like cameras on the umbrella that capture the perspective he should be seeing and relay it onto the surface of it. So he's only seeing the exact mirage or illusion. And I'm wondering if maybe space-time portals or other phenomena can cause this illusion. So you are seeing reality in a different universe, one where there was no car nearby. You turn to look, no car, turn to look, no car, turn back, and for whatever reason the illusion fades away. This is my gut instinct. I don't think it was a blackout, but I can't entirely rule it out either. Welcome, I'm Paul, this is Dave. Today I have 12 Glitch in the Matrix and paranormal stories for you. My favorite story involves a lot of glass. Let's get to it. Case file number 3591, written by Anxious Cucumber 630, the Naproxen that went rogue. I've seen stories on here about teleporting objects, but I always figured there was some reason. But now, the math just isn't mathing. A few days ago, I was doing my usual end-of-day routine, emptying out my work bag, tossing receipts, and shaking out the crumbs. I reached into the very bottom and felt something small and hard. I pulled it out and it was a single white, oblong pill I didn't recognize. I'm super careful about what I take, and I definitely didn't put it there. I ended up going to a pill identifier website and typed in the numbers. It came up as Naproxen. I knew my husband had a prescription for that, but I've never taken it in my life. It's an anti-inflammatory drug, apparently. I don't have any inflammation issues. I didn't even know what the pills look like until that exact moment. I figured maybe it just fell out of his bottle and somehow hitchhiked. When I got home and asked him about it, things got weird. I showed him the pill and asked if he'd lost one. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. He told me that the night before, he had set one pill on the kitchen counter. He turned around for a split second to grab a glass of water, and when he looked back, the pill was gone. He said he spent 5 minutes with the flashlight on his phone, crawling around the kitchen floor, checking under the toaster and looking in the sink, checking everywhere, even impossible places. He never found it and eventually just gave up and took another one. He never mentioned it to me because, well, who really cares, he thought. Just a single pill, and he was sure there was a reason for it to vanish that he couldn't think of. He's not exactly the supernatural entertainer type. My work bag stays in our bedroom on my nightstand. It was never in the kitchen that night, not even for a second. I was already fast asleep in the bedroom when he lost the pill in the kitchen. My husband has bad allergies right now, and he didn't want to wake me up with his sneezing and sniffling, so he never entered the bedroom that entire night. He slept on the couch. He was never near the bag. The bag was never near the kitchen. I was unconscious. Yet somehow, a pill that vanished from a kitchen counter in the middle of the night ended up at the bottom of a closed bag in a different room behind a shut door? Did it catch on his sleeve and fall off later? No, he never went in the room. Did I walk in my sleep, go to the kitchen, find a random pill on the floor that had disappeared that he himself couldn't find, put it in my bag and go back to bed? That feels even more insane than a glitch, right? I can't explain it. He can't explain it. My bag is a portal. Like it's Hermione's bag extension charm. If only. Case file number 3592, written by Jerk Bad Guy. Blackout Protocol. I've been at my new job for about 3 months now. For people who know me, they know I have a pretty intense preference for black clothing. My entire wardrobe is basically a gothic void. It's just my thing. But hey, the company provided uniform was a specific dark navy blue. Not my favorite, but that's life, right? I can deal. I distinctly remember several times standing in the work bathroom looking at myself in the mirror. I'd be wearing one of my own black t-shirts as an undershirt, and I'd see the dark blue collar of the uniform over it. I remember thinking, man, it feels so weird to be wearing an actual color. Not a one-off thought, but recurring all the time. Anyway, last week, I flew out of state to visit some family, and I brought my work jacket with me. I was showing it to them and complained, I really wish this thing was black instead of this blue. My sister just stared at me, almost laughing, and said, "It is black." I laughed and told her she was colorblind, but then I looked down at it. It was black, like jet black. My heart kind of skipped a beat. I thought maybe I'd just been given a weird one-off jacket that was a different color, but then I got home and checked the rest of my gear. Every single one of my uniforms is black. It's not just my stuff either. I went back to work this week and everyone, literally every single person in the building is wearing black. I even went to the company's website to look at the official Join the Team photos. They've always been black? What the freaking frick? There's no mention of a navy blue option anywhere. I'm trying to tell myself maybe the lighting in the warehouse is weird, but that doesn't explain the bathroom mirror. I know what I saw. I spent 3 months looking at the contrast between my black undershirts and that blue fabric. I remember the specific navy hue so clearly. Now everything is just the way I wanted it to be? It's bothering me so much because that memory of the blue on black contrast is so vivid. Case file number 3593, written by Gus TV, Brass Buttons and Glass Walls. I work in a standard high-rise office building. It's not creepy, just lots of glass, beige cubicles, and fluorescent lights. This happened on a Tuesday. I remember because we have an all-hands departmental sync every Tuesday at 10 a.m. I was sitting in a glass-walled conference room on the 11th floor. I was there for the full hour, from 10 to 11. My manager was there, along with 3 other team members. We were reviewing quarterly KPIs, and I specifically remember contributing to the slide deck discussion. There is no doubt I was in that room, literally not even a droplet of doubt. Around 10:55 a.m., my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Sarah, a coworker from a different department who I've known for years. I ignored the call because, well, I was in a meeting. As soon as the meeting wrapped 5 minutes later, I called her back while walking to my desk. "Hey Sarah, sorry I missed you. I was stuck in the 11th floor meeting. What's up?" She sounded genuinely confused, almost annoyed. "Wait, what? How did you get back up there so fast?" "Up where? I've been in the conference room for an hour." "Stop messing with me. I literally just saw you on level 2 of the parking garage. You were walking toward your car. I rolled down my window, waved at you, and you looked right back at me and waved back. You even made eye contact." "Hadn't even been to the garage since I arrived at 8:30 a.m. I tried to laugh it off, telling her that she must have seen someone who looked like me, but then she described what I was wearing. "I know it was you," she said. "You're wearing that vintage dark teal corduroy jacket with weird brass buttons." She was right. I don't wear that jacket often at all, maybe once every few months, because it's a bit of a statement piece. It's not something someone else would just happen to be wearing, at least I don't think they would. I was looking down at those exact brass buttons while she was describing them over the phone. We talked about this several times since it happened. Was this maybe a prank? Sarah isn't the type, and she seemed genuinely scared when I told her I hadn't left the 11th floor the whole time. Mistaken identity? Again, the jacket is too specific, and she insisted on eye contact with that instant recognition you have when you see a friend. And I have an alibi, of course, as if this was a trial for my freedom. I have 4 witnesses, including my manager, who can confirm I was 11 floors up behind a glass wall the entire time. The other me didn't say anything. She said it just waved. It behaved exactly like I would have if I'd bumped into her. Now, 8 months later, we just don't discuss it anymore. It's become this unspoken rule between us. Whenever we pass each other in the hall, there's this brief moment of tension, a quick scan to make sure we're both really there, or if this is a repeat event or doppelganger. It feels better to just let it stay buried in the unexplained category. Has anyone else ever had a doppelganger confirmed by someone they trust? Because I'm still struggling to look at that teal jacket without feeling uncomfortable. So we have doppelganger stories all the time, and they're very fascinating, but I don't think this was a doppelganger. I think this was another case of multiverse miraging, and I'm gonna coin that term because I think it's quite relevant. Maybe in fact most doppelganger events are from this, and you're simply seeing into it, well, not in this case, your friend was simply seeing into a different universe, one where you were indeed down below in the parking garage for some reason, when normally you're in the meeting. It's a simple, elegant solution, I think, to many glitches. I guess solution might be, explanation is the better word. It's not really a solution because we can't affect it as far as we know. No way to control it, yet. Case file number 3594, written by X the New Year, Alphabetical Annihilation. A couple years ago, a close friend sent me a surprise package in the mail. It was a set of 4 handmade friendship-style bracelets. They were super cute, each one had a single word on it, and when you wore them all together, they read, "The Tortured Poets Department." I was so hyped about them that I put them on immediately. But later, that same night, I went into my bathroom to do my skincare routine. For context, my bathroom is tiny, and I'm talking barely enough room to turn around tiny. The floor is solid tile, no rugs at the time, and I had the door shut tight because my cat has a habit of trying to help me wash my face. I started taking the bracelets off to keep them from getting wet. I got 3 of them off fine, but as I reached for the last one, it snapped. It wasn't even a hard tug. It just went pop, and I heard normal clatter-chatter of beads hitting the floor and the counter. Wasn't worried or anything, just annoyed. I figured I'd just pick them up and restring it. Now, the unsettling bit. I got down on my hands and knees and started gathering them up. I found all the filler beads, the little silver ones, and the decorative spacers, no problem. They were scattered by the base of the toilet and under the vanity. But the word tortured? Not a single letter. I am missing exactly 8 beads. Tortured. Tortured. I spent over an hour in that tiny enclosed room. I checked the drain and the stopper was closed. My clothes too, I stripped down and shook everything out, nothing there. Behind the toilet, the trash can was empty, even ran my fingers through my hair. There was literally nowhere else for them to go. It's a sealed room with nowhere to hide. I found the tiny, microscopic silver spacer beads that are half the size of the letters, but all 8 letters of that specific word just ceased to exist in this dimension. It's been 2 years. I've moved out of that apartment since then, and when I packed up the bathroom, I fully expected to find them under a baseboard or stuck in a corner. I never did. I still have the other 3 bracelets, so I have the Poet's Department. But that doesn't really make sense, so I don't wear them. It feels weirdly symbolic and creepy that the only word that vanished was tortured. Like the universe took the prompt too literally, or it's some twisted sign of what's to come. Well, you kind of alluded to this might be a sign from the universe, or in my instinct, from your guardian angel, giving you a hint. I think there are rules involved in how guardian angels can help. It's kind of like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, where he's sent in to be the guardian angel for humanity, or the realm of good in a sense, but he's very limited and restricted on how much he can help. He can never use his full power. If he did, it would just be game over. Actually, I always wondered that Gandalf the White versus Sauron. I think Sauron's still stronger, but it'd be a contest. Yeah. And those rules depend on the circumstance. Like fighting the Balrog, he could use most of his power then, even as Gandalf the Grey, because that was a supernatural, otherworldly being. But he can't do it against mundane reality. Even orcs and all that, even though they were prompted and in a way created by Sauron, they weren't really supernatural, so he couldn't intervene at his full power there. He could only guide the realms of man to fight back. So I think that's what's going on with most guardian angel events. There are rare circumstances where they can directly intervene, but otherwise, they just have to be subtle about it. Case file number 3595, written by Saddam Hussein. A closed-door policy. This happened to me about 3 years ago, and I still think about it to this day. My wife says that I just don't remember correctly, but I'm not so sure. This is not nearly as crazy as some of the other stories, and I don't have a definitive truth to prove this, but still, I figured I'd share. After reading some of these posts, though, it makes me rethink what happened on this day. So, I came home from work, and as usual, I gave my dogs hugs and kisses, and let her out. I had to use the bathroom badly, and I specifically remember letting her out first. The reason I am sure that I let her out is as I walked away from the door, I heard her scratch the door, wanting back in. She will do this sometimes when I come home, and I have to go outside with her to get her off the porch, but I really had to go first, so I just ignored it. So I go to the bathroom, and I'm playing on my phone. I finish up my business and come out of the bathroom, and she is laying on the bed. I literally jumped because I was not expecting her to be there. I go and check the door thinking, oh, maybe I just didn't close the door right. But it was closed, and it's a sliding glass door that is loud enough to hear even in the bathroom. To this day, I still cannot figure out how she got back inside, or if I just never even let her out. Trips me out when I start thinking about it because I am 99.99% sure I let her out, and there's no possible way to get in the house any other way. Case file number 3596, written by The Liger Cat. 50 pounds of mystery. Okay, so I have cats. I like keeping a few bags of cat litter on hand. The big 50-pound bags, the ones that are a pain in the butt for me to move around, and as such, I keep the extra bags right inside the garage door. A couple months back, the bag inside ran out, so I went out there to get another bag. Couldn't find any. Figured I'd forgotten that was the last bag, and went and bought 2 more. I bring one in the house, bring the other out to the garage, and lo and behold, there's 2 bags of cat litter sitting right there. I write it off, figured maybe I was too distracted and just overlooked them somehow. So fast forward to today. I used up the bag I'd brought in, plus the other one I'd bought. Went out to the garage to get one of the other bags. Now they're not there again. I looked around, but really, it's not like I would have moved them. No one else in the house would have moved them either. The garage door is kept locked, and even if it wasn't, there's way more valuable things, tools, to steal. So why would anyone take the cat litter? I know they were there when I got that last bag out, because I remember debating if I should take the newer bag or one of the older ones to use. This isn't the first time something's randomly vanished around here, but this is probably the physically biggest thing that's ever vanished on me. Case file number 3597, written by Hyrie 10, The Cream of Uncertainty. I've been debating posting this because it sounds so stupid, but it's been bothering me for days and I need to know if I'm losing my mind. So, my hands have been incredibly dry lately. I've been washing them way too much with harsh soap, and they were starting to get painfully cracked. About a week ago, I remembered I had this brand new bottle of foot lotion that a friend gave me for Christmas. I dug it out of my cabinet, it was totally unused, still had the plastic wrap on the outside of it. I took off the wrap, unscrewed the twist cap, and I distinctly remember peeling off that little round paper or foil seal they put over the opening to keep it fresh. I remember the tactile feeling of it resisting a bit before it popped off. Anyway, I went to squeeze some of it out, and way too much came out, like a giant gross glob. Since I didn't want to waste it, I ended up rubbing it all over my hands and then all the way up my arms too. Please don't judge. The whole time I was doing it, I literally had this internal monologue like, why do they even market this as foot lotion? It's basically just thick hand lotion. It's the same thing. I was literally laughing at the marketing while I rubbed it into my elbows. Fast forward to a few days ago. My hands started getting the same dry, tight feeling again, so I went back to the bathroom to grab the bottle. I unscrewed the twist cap, expecting to just squeeze some out, but what the hell? The paper seal was back. It wasn't just there, it was perfectly, tightly glued down again, completely enclosing the opening. It looked brand new. I am 100% sure that was not the first time I used that lotion. I remember the texture, the big gross glob. I remember the fake chemical smell that still somehow smelled nice. And I specifically remember the conversation I had with myself about it being the same as hand lotion. There is simply no way I imagined peeling that seal off, and then using half an ounce of the stuff or more on my arms. I haven't even peeled the new seal off yet because it freaked me out so much. Case file number 3598, written by Upset Concentrate 667. The Gloucester Glitch. I had a strange experience as a teen that I still can't explain today. Keep in mind this was 15 plus years ago. I was really into movies back then and would regularly, almost daily, visit my local Cineworld in Gloucester, UK. I had an unlimited membership card that allowed me to watch as many movies as I wanted. So I got into the habit of watching some of a film, leaving to hang out with some friends or do something else, then returning the following day to watch the rest. This is what I did that day. I came in, and the entrance area was empty, save for 2 members of staff. One was behind the counter, and another was sitting on a bench near the podium where you hand in tickets. After getting my ticket for the other half of the film, I walked over to the podium, and the woman who was sitting down got up to take my ticket. She pointed me to the doors to the screen where the movie was already playing, right next to her, and I went in. What I found, however, was an empty screen. No people, no movie, lights on. Now I'm confused. I assumed she just pointed me to the wrong screen or something, so I left the screen, still holding the door open, and told the woman that there was no movie and it was empty. She exclaimed, "Really?" with a look of disbelief on her face. She walked past me through the still open door. I turned to follow when I noticed the lights were off now. As I got to the back of the seating area, the film was blatantly playing, and people were in the seats. She looked at me like I was an idiot who had wasted her time and left, and I gave her an awkward, "Thank you," as she passed, like she had somehow fixed it. I stood there for a few moments trying to put everything together logically in my head. I failed to do so, and then went home. That's my time slip story. I have no idea if it was actually time travel, a hallucination, an elaborate practical joke, a glitch in the Matrix, or even swamp gas hitting a weather balloon. Either way, they move location to a new shopping center nearby, not that long after. Okay, we have another multiverse mirage, right? What else could it be? There's no way this could be a prank, to my understanding, because you said there was no one in the movie theater. So you go in, it's bright, nothing's playing. You would hear the movie playing too. That's the first thing you hear in movie theaters when you're stepping in. And yeah, no one's there. So I mean that by the time that you go back out to tell the girl, and then you come back in, to coordinate everyone rushing back in, the movie playing, dimming the lights, that'd be an extraordinary prank, which why would a movie theater do that just to you? I mean, unless you are on YouTube or somewhere, but I doubt it. There's simply so many differences going on in different universes, and we are kind of privy to that randomly. I don't know why, but they're out there. Case file number 3599, written by OK Bet. Drive-by Safari. When I was in high school, I went to a 4th of July festival with my 2 friends in my city in the Los Angeles area. We were sitting under a tree eating our In-N-Out, and we saw one of those old classic cars drive by us with an old man driving and an actual tiger in the back. When we saw it, it was a faded brownish orange and moving in the back seat. One friend didn't see it, but the other friend and I saw it and immediately stood up and were so confused as to why and how that guy owns a tiger in LA and is casually driving around with it in the back. A few minutes later, we see the same car driving towards us, and we tell our friend to look this time because he didn't believe us. Who would? Then, when he drove past us again, we saw that tiger that was of faded brownish orange color and moving is now a giant stuffed tiger that's bright orange, clearly a fake stuffed animal. We were so confused, and I brought it up to the friend that saw the tiger with me the next day, and he started denying it, saying he didn't see anything. So now I feel so alone and crazy. We weren't on any drugs or alcohol, unless the In-N-Out was drugged. To this day, I still try to watch YouTube prank videos to see if it was a prank, or look up if there's a guy in LA that drives a car with a tiger. Okay, so not much to say on this one, just I found it funny because this is LA, so from what I understand and know of Los Angeles, this could be both a prank and reality. This could just be a guy that actually does have a lion as a pet, and drives it around, and also just wanted to prank people, drives it around naturally, and then also switches it out with a plushie. That is something I would do, although, well, the spirit of the prank I respect. I wouldn't actually own a lion though. That's asking for trouble, no matter how well trained it is. Case file number 3600, written by Croatoan 178. Fields, Silence, and Horns. My mother and younger brother witnessed this with me, or I would have convinced myself I was going crazy by now. Us 3, mother is driving. We're heading home this afternoon from one city to ours. It's like a 15 to 20 minute drive, and most of it is a long highway stretch through empty fields. Corn on our left, sage and dead plants on our right. Flat, broad daylight, no buildings or alleyways for something to hide in. We're driving in complete silence. The radio isn't on, and we're all tired, so we're not chatting. Both my mother and brother are listening to music or podcasts with cheap headphones, nothing loud or noise cancelling, and I'm totally aware, nothing in my ears. There's a few cars ahead of us going the same way. It's a 2-lane, one-way, and no one behind us. One pickup passes us in the 2 lanes going the opposite way over on our left about 5 to 10 seconds before this happens. It's been silent for a while, and all of a sudden we hear a semi-truck's blaring horn, very loud and very close. I swear it was to my right, but there was only a field there. We're in the right lane. So it's confusing the more I run this through my head. I jump out of my skin. My mom panics because she's wondering if she's in someone's way or in a blind spot or something. I immediately check the mirrors, expecting to see the semi right behind us, wanting to go faster or something, even though we're going the speed limit 55 and they could pass us. But this is the thing. There was no one behind us. No cars, no trucks, no semis. The roads all around us are empty, apart from a few cars up ahead. We thought it could be a train horn too, while we ran all possibilities through our heads, but there are no train tracks near there, and again, all empty fields all around. We're all pretty skeptical on the ghost or supernatural side of things. Maybe we passed near a veil and in a parallel universe are now dealing with an accident with a semi. Case file number 3601, written by Competitive Zone 330. Sockpocalypse now. I'm not even sure if this fits here, but this has been driving me and my fiancé nuts. I have a lot of shirts, basketball shorts, and I keep having to buy socks and underwear because they just vanish. When Arrow ended, I bought an Arrow shirt and had scenes from different seasons inside a block of 08, and that shirt just disappeared after I bought it. The only evidence that I even had the shirt was a picture that I took the day it came in the mail. Since that day, it just vanished. I had a bunch of Naruto shirts, including a really cool black and pink one. At one point, half my closet was Naruto shirts, but now I don't have a single Naruto shirt. But I still have pictures of me in the shirts. I did have them at some point. I had a couple of flannels, those are gone. I only changed at home and we deep clean the house every week. I don't like getting rid of shirts, so that option is ruled out. I also had a bunch of basketball shorts. A whole drawer full, but somehow I only have 3 pairs left. None of my socks match except for a 2-pack of Michigan socks I had bought. My Naruto socks all have the matching sock missing. My underwear drawer needs a replenishment every few months because I literally cannot find them. I always put my clothes in a basket in the laundry room, and after washing them, I put them away with the help of my fiancé. Where the hell are my clothes going, dude? It's pissing me off at this point. My room is small and my house is small. Where the hell are my shirts? Now time for the jokes of the day. Waiter asked me, "Sir, how do you like your steak?" Me. Like winning an argument with my wife. Rare it is. What do you call the belly of a woman who's pregnant with twins? A 2-bedroom apartment. I would be cramped even by New York City standards. This soup recipe calls for 5 potatoes cubed. Maybe it's just me, but 125 potatoes seems excessive. 5 times 5 times 5, 125, yep. The guy who invented the Ferris wheel never met the guy who invented the merry-go-round. They traveled in different circles. When we were cleaning up a project in the garage, I told my son to put the lids back on the baking soda, borax, and bleach. He asked, "Why?" And I said, "I just want to make sure all our bases are covered." Video up here. YouTube thinks you'll like it. Check it out. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I'll see you next time.